One dark night, a group of young adventurers decided to explore an old house that was rumored to be haunted and filled with mysterious secrets for 1,000 years. The atmosphere was eerie as they heard mysterious whispers, their hearts were pounding, and they discovered strange things, such as old photos and videos, which added to their excitement and terror. The frightening thing about sleeping is that the door suddenly opens, and what's even more frightening is that there's no one behind it. The woman was terrified, but mustered up the courage to go out and check. She found that there was no one there and thought the wind had blown the door open. However, at that moment, another door opened. Holly suspected the house was haunted, as it was a famous haunted house. It was said that everyone who had ever lived in this house had died. There seemed to be a terrifying presence in the house. Anyone who got close would meet a terrible fate or disappear. Holly and her friends, upon hearing about this, immediately drove to the location. They were an adventure live streaming team, and with recent low viewership, they decided to use the haunted house to boost their popularity. But before they could find the house, a fallen tree blocked their path. Anyone a bit superstitious would have backed off at this point, but they decided to get out of the car and proceed on foot. They didn't forget to shoot some video footage along the way. It was already evening by the time they entered the haunted house. The house had been boarded up, but they tore the boards off and walked in without hesitation, each finding a room to rest in. It was autumn and not too cold, but inside the house, it felt like winter, and almost everyone felt a bone-chilling cold. Occasionally, they heard strange noises in the rooms, but this didn't deter their desire to live stream the adventure. They settled in. Sandro and his girlfriend even got intimate. The next morning, they installed cameras all over the house. They didn't really believe there was anything supernatural there, but for the sake of viewership, if there was nothing supernatural, they'd make something up. At 4 p.m., they started a seance game. In fact, no one in their team was a medium, but it didn't matter. The audience wouldn't know the difference if someone just pretended. Polly had truly lost her brother and was very upset that Kata was using it as a gimmick during the seance. She felt extremely depressed and left before Kata could finish. Polly didn't see that after she left, the device Kata was using for the seance suddenly lit up. This was a sign of a supernatural occurrence. Had their seance actually worked? That night, with thunder and lightning, the haunted house appeared even more terrifying. Polly was awakened by the sound of a door opening, but when she got up to check, she found nothing, just as she thought the wind had blown the door open. Another door opened. This time, Polly couldn't stay calm. She slowly approached the newly opened door, trying to see what was behind it. Polly couldn't bring herself to go any further. She went to find Alex and told him what had happened, but Alex woke everyone up and had the cameraman turn on the camera. He was thrilled, thinking they might finally capture something tonight. Alex asked Polly to describe what she saw on camera, but Polly was pale and refused to say anything. The third day, Alex discovered that all the cameras they had installed were malfunctioning. They argued about the issue, but at that moment, Polly found a strange painting. In the painting, a man stood in front of a room, but Alex had been to that spot, and there was no door. They suspected that the door had been hidden. Perhaps all the secrets of the haunted house lay behind that door. They quickly went to the spot depicted in the painting, moved the cabinet, and started searching for any seams or gaps. You shouldn't look in the mirror at midnight. Kata, however, was putting on makeup in front of the mirror at exactly 12 o'clock. Even though there were strange noises behind her, she paid no attention. Kata didn't see the ghostly figure behind her and continued applying her makeup. She had no idea that tonight was the night she would die. This house had been haunted for centuries, yet Kata and her team came here for an adventure. In the afternoon, they even discovered a hidden room in the house. They explored the secret room and found many items from the last century. They also found videotapes left by one of the former owners. Alex told Sandro to hook up some electricity. They were going to watch the tapes, but as Sandro was working, the nearby wires suddenly moved violently. They didn't notice what had just happened. Polly did find something, though. There were some drawings left by the children who once lived there, and one of them depicted a faceless black figure. Unfortunately, Polly didn't have time to ponder this, as Alex had just finished connecting the wires, so she joined them to watch the video. The video showed a family moving into the house in the 1970s. At first, the family was very happy, but it didn't take long for them to notice something was wrong with the house. The family that had lived there before had also left a drawing, and it too depicted a faceless black figure. The video ended abruptly, as if some mysterious force had prevented them from recording further. Sandro played the next tape. It was still about that family, but they no longer looked as happy as when they first moved in. The old lady, Elizabeth, was reading the diary of the previous owner. The diary mentioned that the previous owner would hear strange noises every night, and they suspected it was an evil spirit at work. Elizabeth suspected the same because her grandson cried nonstop at night. Before they moved into the house, the child had been perfectly normal, but after they arrived, the children kept having nightmares. Elizabeth's son and daughter-in-law didn't want to live there anymore, but Elizabeth became intrigued and started recording everything with a camera, discovering a creepy cellar. The video turned to static at that point. Alex and his team didn't want to give up, so they decided to find the cellar that Elizabeth had recorded. Told everyone to split up and search. Tata, wanting to look good on camera, started putting on makeup in front of a mirror. Alex found another videotape and invited Polly to watch it. This time, they saw what happened to that family. Elizabeth had discovered something and said to the camera that the house was not clean. She said that the house is evil, fed on people's fear to grow stronger, so she decided to create a foundation to permanently seal the house. After saying this, Elizabeth picked up a gun from a box. The tape glitched at that moment. Curious if the gun was still there, Alex found it in the same spot Elizabeth had shown. The gun was still functional. Alex couldn't wait to get the gun on his person. Then he went back to continue reviewing the footage. The next second, Alex was stunned. But what happened next was even more terrifying. Elizabeth, who had been shot dead, stood up and used the gun to kill her entire family. Alex quickly filmed the scene. Despite his fear, he was mostly thrilled. They had come here to explore, and now they had finally captured supernatural phenomena, bringing them one step closer to success. Alex cheered with excitement, completely unaware of the danger Kata was facing in another room. Kata had heard some strange noises and was about to run out, but the door suddenly slammed shut. When the others heard the commotion and rushed over, they found Kata standing with her back to them, silently. Kata was scared by a ghost and lost her footing and fell to her death. Lise quickly goes back to her room to check the surveillance. She wants to know what Kata saw before she died, but just as Lise was pulling up every room surveillance, she suddenly saw something hidden in the room she was in, and it's still in the room. Lise can sense that she's not the only one in the room, but she also knows that the other one isn't a person, so maybe it's the same thing that killed Kata, and now it's coming for her. Lise shivered, but the hiccups were always in her ears. She tries to escape, but the door to the room suddenly locks. Then Lise felt something push her, causing her to slam into the door, and then it grabbed her and slammed her again. Lisa's heart was beating so fast it was about to jump out of her chest, but her heartbeat still didn't drown out the hiccups. Lise was dragged away, and she hit a crack in the wall. That's when the thing finally showed itself. She's dark, thin, tall, and barely noticeably beautiful. Too bad Alex and the others weren't lucky enough to see it. Even though Kata was dead, Alex wasn't going to stop there. He was going to use this haunted house to set the internet on fire. But Fabian didn't want to go crazy with him this time. Fabian snuck out of the house, planning to drive away alone, but the car wouldn't start for some reason. How could there be people in the middle of nowhere? But Fabian was too panicked to think about it. When the old lady said she would help him, Fabian stood in front of the car. The old lady's intention was to run him over. Now 3 of the 6 members of the team are dead, but Sandro in the haunted house doesn't know the danger is coming. He follows Alex's instructions to explore the house, but then a hand suddenly appears in the wall behind him, followed by a hiccup, and Sandro is dragged away, just like Polly. Polly and Alex were the only ones left. They didn't dare to stay and ran outside with the lights on, but by now, the house has been boarded up from the outside. These people are from the Foundation, and their mission is to seal off the house and kill anyone who knows anything about it. Polly and Alex can't escape. They can only turn around and look for another way out. But then the door to the house is suddenly slammed shut and there's a strange burping sound in their ears. Realizing something was wrong, Polly and Alex scrambled towards a crack in the wall. They don't know what's going on in there, but it's safer than staying outside. They climbed in as fast as they could, and on the way they saw Polly and Sandro's bodies. I don't know how long it took, but they finally made it out. But at the end of this place is the mysterious cellar from the tape where the filth came out. Looks like they've got themselves into a trap. When Polly sees Alex's gun, she takes it out for protection. Polly intends to kill Alex before she kills herself, but the filth doesn't give her a chance. Polly is dragged away by the filth, and even though the filth's jaw is shattered, the filth drags her into the abyss. Alex picks up the fallen material. This is the truth about the haunted house that they traded their lives for. Unwilling to die like this, he opens his mouth and makes a deal with the filth. Since the filth wants fear, if he goes out and uploads the video he took in the haunted house on the internet, the filth can get more fear. With a few words, Alex managed to gain its trust, and he was let out. Alex made a lot of money from those videos. Although 5 of his teammates died, Alex didn't feel guilty at all. He planned to enjoy his wealthy life, but would the ghost really let him go that easily?